Of a challenge will that prove, and what are you expecting?
Well, I think that's the great thing for our younger players, to come up against players like that, to come up against some of the best players in the world and just to pit themselves against it. So that's why it's a fantastic experience for our younger lads. We were in the championship 2 years ago, and we worked our way through that for days like today.
And sixth in the Premiership at the moment, a very promising position. How are you balancing your priorities there with commitments here in Europe as well?
Well, we're doing what we've done for the last 2 years. We just said we'd take each game as it comes and we would be the best version of ourselves on any given day, and that's what we'll look to be today as well then too.
Great stuff. Thank you very much. Best of luck.
Enjoy the game.
OK, so London Irish and Cardiff Blues are just about ready to go here on BT Sport 3. Then what a weekend of rugby we have in store for you. We've not seen European action since September, so I think we're good to go, right? But don't forget that even though we miss you and your mates being here with us at the grounds as part of the matchday experience, you can still watch the match with your friends and family with the BT Sport app. Choose the watch together option, invite your mates and enjoy the game as if you were here. For this and so much more, download the app to your mobile or your tablet. OK, so we're almost ready here then. We're really looking forward to this one. London Irish against Cardiff Blues. We already know that Bath have booked their place in the quarter-final, and the winner here this evening will face them. So hopefully Sam Warburton and Topsy Ojo have made their way up to the commentary box, all the way up there somewhere. And hopefully the lovely Nick Mullins is waiting for us. Evening, Nick.
Oh, thank you, Sar. Evening. Afternoon, everybody, and a happy Easter. Start of an appropriately egg-shaped weekend. Brilliant games wherever we look today, tomorrow, Easter Sunday. And if it's your first visit here, like it is for the Blues, to London Irish's great new place beside the Thames and the M4, the road back to Cardiff, welcome along. What are the teams? Goodness knows how many European sides Declan Kidney has selected down the years now, and while he's still having to work here without some injured star names like All Black Waisaki Naholo, the Wallaby Adam Coleman, it's a familiar looking 23 again, and one with forwards like Agustin Creevy and Rob Simmons. It doesn't lack for test quality amongst the backs as well. A half-back pairing of Nick Phipps, Paddy Jackson bringing all their test match nous. And just like the Blues back three we're about to have a look at, Hassel Collins, Loader and Parton at 11, 14 and 15 have got pace and ambition, and they will look to unload that over the next couple of hours. For the first time since he took charge at the start of the year, Cardiff's interim director of rugby, Di Young, can pick from a full squad, a full deck. A headache he has enjoyed having this week. All of his Six Nations winners available again, including the likes of Corey Hill, Josh Navidi, James Botham, who played in the final game in Paris. Botham's in for Ellis Jenkins, by the way, who's looking after a sore groin. Hallam Amos, Willis Halaholo, Josh Adams will all have their own championship winning stories to tell as well over the years ahead, as will fly half Jared Evans, who was part of the wider squad, and scrum half Thomas Williams, who started for Wales against Ireland. This his 100th game for the Blues. Amongst those held in reserve, by the way, on both sides, Irish opting for a 6-2 split between forwards and backs. Cardiff a more traditional 5-3 division, so the likes of Lloyd Williams, another of the Six Nations winners, can influence things later. There's a familiar face in these parts. He used to do his business just up the road, just around the South Circular, when Wasps were based in Acton. David Young. He is hoping to swap the word interim for permanent before the letters DOR over the next week or so. A win here would certainly help. And this lot will hope that it isn't the final time they ever run out for European games as the Cardiff Blues, dropping Blues from their name at the end of this season, reverting to good old Cardiff again at the beginning of next season. Sam was saying they won this competition twice as the Blues, against Toulon in Marseille in 2010 and Gloucester in Bilbao 3 years ago. And today this challenge, London Irish Challenge Cup boss is hastily rearranging the schedule after COVID interrupted in January. London Irish actually qualified for this new round of 16 as the top seeds after bonus point wins in the 2 games they did get to play in the pool stage away in Agen in December, and then Po here.
They got under 10 seconds, it should be
the referee is a Georgian, leading the way for Georgian officials at the moment. Nika Ama-Shekeli, Andrew Jackson and Gareth Holdsgrove. The assistant referees, the TMO is Eric Gozin, a Frenchman. And the first of 4 Anglo-Welsh games this weekend. Ospreys, Newcastle, Dragons, Northampton, Scarlet Sail ahead of us, but here's the first. English and Welsh clubs and regions about to measure themselves against each other again, and all that brings extra special level of electricity for the likes of Ben Loader, and also for Christian Dacey. He's a little lightning bolt off the bench 10 days ago. It's been that long since Cardiff last played, the important win against Edinburgh that secured a top 4 place in their conference, and Dacey smartly to work to pick out Corey Hill.
Six, stay there.
Blues in the whites and the blue shorts. Irish, you've probably worked out for yourself. Green shirts and white socks. Interesting to see Rob Simmons, the Wallaby, getting his big spoon in the broth, but referee deciding that it was Irish who were just getting their big spoon in a little bit too much, Sam, and it'll be a Blues penalty early on.
Yeah, I thought I just heard the referee there saying to Simmons he changed his mind, which is why he penalised him, but something the Blues will have to get used to. London Irish tend to kick out a lot when they're in their own 22, so line-out is going to be a good source of possession for Cardiff Blues today. So there's 1 penalty from 1 line-out, so I guess from their point of view that's a success so far.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a really interesting battle today as well. We look at the lineup and we think, right, running rugby, but actually, you know, these tight exchanges, set piece, maul, scrum are actually going to be where a lot of that difference is made.
Once again, familiar routine. Dacey to Hill. Ball's been dropped. Not quite so smart, and London Irish can put down a few pegs of their own with this first scrum. Liam Belcher, by the way, who started against Edinburgh, is back on the bench today. Dacey's such an exciting runner, and so too the Argentinian that he's up against, Agustin Creevy, most capped Puma, former skipper, and he's beetling around to good effect for London Irish these days.
He's been a revelation, hasn't he, since he joined? I think a lot of love from the boys as well. He's come in and made West London his home, and he's had a real influence around him, especially with the 2 boys alongside him, Lovejoy and Will Goodrick-Clark, just learning so much from that experience.
Yes, Willie, let's go. Sit.
Nick Phipps, Wallaby scrum half. It's former Ireland number 10, Paddy Jackson. And in midfield is Curtis Rona, who's done a lot of good work as well over the last couple of months since coming here. Oh, a penalty's gone against Albert Tuasui. Nika Ama-Shekeli picking out the net roll. So.
Yeah, I thought it might have been for a knock-on there from, I think it was Rona who might have knocked it on his carry, but it was a net ball. You've got to be so careful there. In the Blues, it was James Botham who went in for the ball to compete. They compete so hard at the ball. You know, they average 7 penalties a game, turnovers that they win. And they've always topped those charts in the Pro 14, so get your clear-outs right against the Blues, because they're going to be putting men over that ball all the time. You can see Jim Botham there in his red scrum cap. They're going to be on that ball all game, so that clear-out's going to be a big opportunity for the Blues to get some success, and where London Irish have to be accurate.
Cardiff players, Topsy, doing well on the floor, jackling balls back. Does that remind you of anybody?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Those days are long.
The genes don't travel far, do they? The old DNA is still down there somewhere.
Well, if you follow his Instagram, he's making a comeback next week.
Now, what of Jared Evans from just inside the Brentford centre circle? Oof, not quite. But there's still opportunity here for the Blues, and George Knott needed to be on his toes.
Use.
Tuasui. He's done his fair share of ball transporting over the course of this season.
9.
Use it.
Walloped away by Phipps. Jared Evans thought about the quick throw in briefly, but only briefly.
I know London Irish kick off anyway, but I think it's quite smart to kick off against Cardiff Blues, you know, with guys like Matthew Morgan in the backfield. He's been creating line breaks left, right and centre, and you don't want him running at his sort of front 5 forwards down that 15-metre channel. So from a tactical point of view, I think to remain kicking off against the Blues and trying to stop that man there from counter-attacking because he's so lethal.
He's a brilliant runner, twinkling feet. Line out taken by the captain, Josh Turnbull, week in, week out, one of the stars for Cardiff in recent times. And here goes Dacey. Evans providing the link. This is Willis Halaholo, back with Cardiff for the first time as a fully fledged international after his Six Nations debut for Wales. There is Matthew Morgan, just setting it back for the scrum half. Thomas Williams, 100th game for the Blues today, 6 years on from his debut. And then this is Turnbull, stretching that green fabric as much as he can. Now Seb Davis. Clipped away by Williams to the tight head prop. Dylan Lewis, no way beyond Simmons.
Flat.
Back in field to pick out Morgan.
You're on the ground.
Another penalty which is taken quickly by Williams. Blair Cowan was there, Rona was there to knock the Blues back, but only temporarily. Caught in several minds there, Jared Evans. In the end, he decided that the grass was his best friend. But it's Irish who come away with it, and Creevy. All the way back, Josh Adams.
I think it was George not giving the Blues a little bit of their own medicine. He had a fantastic turnover to create that. The Blues just got a little bit lost in their system. This is a big hit from Cowan. Cowan's a fantastic tackler. I played against him about, I think it was 9 years ago, and he impressed me then. He's been a stalwart of the club. But yeah, the Blues just lost a little bit of structure here. And you can see, yeah, it's George Knott gets over the ball really well and relieves the pressure for London Irish.
Brophy Clues and Hassel Collins for the first time, linking up with the other winger, Ben Loader, and Loader now with a bit of space. He's got to go around the fullback Morgan. He does that. Josh Navidi had to get back. We know how brilliant Navidi is over the ball. However, this time it's an Irish penalty, and Jackson picking out Brophy Clues. Brophy Clues very happy to play at 10, so he's a handy extra distributor in the inside centre channel.
Some movement on the ground, no advantage. Going back.
What's that extra roll on the ground? The extra somersault is something that I know the referees, and they talked to us this week about it. The players are going to be given absolutely no licence once they're tackled to try and steal even an extra centimetre.
Where I have sympathy for the players, so this is the brilliant break down the line from Loader, which gave London Irish some momentum. When they go to the floor like that, and that example he presents well, Josh McVie just puts his hands on the floor, which is why he's deemed the penalty. But coaches over the last 5-10 years at the breakdown have coached players relentlessly to do that extra roll, because it puts the jackler off. He loses centre of gravity. It's much easier to make the following clean out because the jackler has to move. So they're constant. That's been ingrained in them. So to change that behaviours in the click of the fingers will take some time. It's just instinctive for a lot of guys to try and move again on the floor.
Irish on the penalty, opting to go for the throw, which Creevy will deliver. Oh, he was looking for Knott. The throw was either too high or the lifters not quite high enough. Either way,
you stay after the kick.
Cardiff's ball to play with. Not for long. Evans happy to give it the big hoof, and Loader will gather.
Go back. Green, go back.
Jared Evans took it well. He was rather hoping that that was going to go out, and it didn't. And he's found himself in a lot of pressure, but he did well. And Navidi helping to ease that pressure. Williams with his foot on the ball, controlling things. Gathered by Tom Parton, potent attacking Irish threat this season.
He's been brilliant this season. Every opportunity he's had on the ball, just looking to attack and spark something. So that kick chase just needs to be on the money if you're going to kick him the ball.
Rock form, late. Second man.
Not so sure about that, Sam.
Oh no, I agreed completely. I was saying no because the ruck was blatantly formed. You could see London Irish had formed over that ball, and there wasn't an opportunity to pick that ball up from Josh Turnbull. Just eager, as part of the Cardiff Blues game plan, to go for that ball. And when Irish are throwing the ball wide to wide, and you're not competing on the ball, you don't give your defensive line a chance to set, and it's really hard to get after them with your fast blitz defence. So the Blues have to target that ball, but of course you need to keep it legal. This is the example here. You can see Josh Turnbull, number 8, just creeping into the screen. George not gets over that ball, then Josh tries to compete for it, at which point it's deemed a rough, you can't put your hands in there. So yeah, correct call from the referee.
There's Paddy Jackson. Absolutely thriving this season here. Game management, that extra bit of stardust, and of course, even from distances like this, potential gatherer of big points. On that occasion, however, it remains scoreless.
Interesting. See, the first penalty, maybe an easier one. They decided to go for the corner, thinking, right, okay, let's make a statement. So it's almost like both teams have now had a little look and said, right, okay, now we'll maybe respect each other a bit more, start to build a score, take the threes when they're on offer. So 2 evenly matched teams so far, going toe-to-toe.
Jackson. Was brilliantly taken by Morgan. He timed that to perfection. This is Corey Domachowski back in ahead of Rhys Gill and Rhys Carey on the tight head today. Evans, again another ball to compete on halfway. It was Josh Adams who tripped, had a word with the assistant referee, but not before the assistant referee said that he was offside.
You have to sit.
No, there was an obstruction coming, I think. It looked like Josh Hadd has been taken out, but all the Cardiff forwards, a couple of them anyway, were in front of the kick initially. So we go all the way back, and I think Paddy Jackson has an easier opportunity to knock over 3 points.
I think the Cardiff Blues are playing into the wings. It looked like that ball was held up. It sort of slowed the sort of trajectory of the ball, so then the forwards couldn't be brought onside. Not sure that ball got held up a little bit more than they expected. That's something they're going to have to factor in for future kicks. And Irish won the toss, so I believe they've obviously chosen to play with the win first half.
See the M4 in the background, the elevated section. It's not exactly. It's actually running not bad for a Friday night in London. It's a good Friday night. Normally that would be stationary, but there's a little bit of movement there. Which direction will this kick go? Towards London and between the posts, and Irish ahead by 3 points to 0. Those Heineken Cup tales that Declan Kidney helped write with Munster in the early 2000s. It's a club coaching career defined by European adventures, and David Young as well in the other dugout. Challenge Cup success that Sam was reminiscing about a little earlier. Restart gathered by Loader.
It's good. They look like they're trying to really pin Irish in that left-hand corner as well, kicking long, getting a really good chase. Probably try and force Irish to kick out, and then they can maybe start getting things going again. We've seen 2 drives already. It's almost a clear tactic there by Cardiff.
Stay 2. Let's go. Stay, guys.
He's not been back with the Blues long. He arrived in the first week in January to replace John Mulvihill. Of course, in charge 11 years ago in Marseille against Toulon. 50,000 people in the stadium. Do you remember those days?
And 500 were Cardiff Blues fans.
Taken by Hill, going through his fair share of line-out work early on. Thomas Williams twisting and turning, and then Ray Lilo. First time really threatening ball in hand so far today. Hopefully won't be the last time. This is Dacey, such an energetic hooker. There's Halomenis on the right wing for a moment or two.
No hands! No!
Thomas Williams, and then Navidi providing the link, and then the break from Corey Hale, and he's got Williams. Oh, and the pass was just behind Thomas Williams, but the first big golden opportunity has been dropped. The first egg of the weekend dropped.
And it should have been as well. It was Navidi. Lovely little second touch on the ball with the line break as well. He's got to score that, but Cardiff going again.
Hang on, here goes Lilo. He's doing brilliantly. Ball laid back to Turnbull, who pops it up to Morgan. This is three running Blues at their absolute best again. Hill involved, and again Dacey spinning out of the tackle. Navidi accelerating onto it. Hit back, but he does more than take the hit. He spins away, wins an extra metre. And here goes Davis. Turnbull again. First time in this match, Cardiff Blues on Irish's front doorstep.
Hi, Masood! No offside! Advantage offside. And no arm tackle as well.
Irish offsiders. Hill takes us in.
He's okay. Offside and no arms tackle.
What's the decision? Might they think about a quick one, or they bank the points? They're going to give it the old tap and go job. Here they are. Christian Dacey mining under, and that's why they did it. That's why they did it. And a bolt of lightning later on in the match against Edinburgh is a bolt of lightning much sooner here against London Irish.
It was a great latch from Josh Turnbull to support Christian Dacey to sort of make it almost a 200-kilo body when you add both their body weights together. The Blues going for London Irish up front, going for that power game. Blues packs previously, the pack they've picked today is probably the biggest, most physical pack that they could pick. And I thought they were going to go expansive, but they're obviously back in that physical game plan, that pick and go when they get within 5 metres. They're going to back themselves to win that physical confrontation and that battle. That was spearheaded by Josh Navidi with a great first carry against Creevy, who's a phenomenal hitter. But yeah, Blues looking pretty good in the short exchanges.
Wait, he has to go back. He has to go back. Just stay on the line.
It was a mismatch, really, wasn't it? It was 3 Cardiff forwards there, well, 2. Creevy on his own. Blair Cowan comes in there late, but the damage is probably already done. They're already going forwards. They have the momentum. It's a mismatch, and brilliant start from Cardiff.
That's the key when you carry short from 5 metres out. You need to be able to stay on your feet after that first collision, so you can invite the support from your teammates to drive you over. If you go to the ground straight away, it's very easy to defend. So making sure you survive that contact and stay on your feet to allow that momentum to drive you over the line from your team.
Try converted by Jared Evans, and Cardiff ahead 7-3.
Use it, 9. Use it.
Nate mentioned him earlier as well, but from Navidi as well, some really nice touches in there. It was his tip pass to Turnbull that created the initial line break, and although Irish got the ball back from the knock-on, because they didn't clear to touch as well, it just meant that wave of attack kept coming. They weren't able to recover. A bit more pressure. They give away the penalty, and ultimately the try comes.
The Irish were defending well until that point. They were matching Cardiff Blues physically really well. It was just that one tip pass from Navidi which broke the defensive line.
Brophy Clues, man to initially take it up, and then George Knott. And Jackson skipping his way through. James Botham tried to get back over it, but he was cleared away. This is Loader. It's been the bright, busy, energetic start that we hoped it would be. Matt Rogerson, Irish captain. Jackson, Brophy Clues, again that distributor to Curtis Rona. Very strong, just straightening things up in midfield for Irish. Turnbull with another tackle. Don't think anyone has made more tackles in the Pro 14 this season than Josh Turnbull, and he's added to his European tally very early on here in West London. Parton got a little bit tight, and then the charging run, and Seb Davis blasting away, and that's a very clever kick from Davis, and Adams is chasing, and Adams is scoring. Oh, how clever was that? What a break. Seb Davis with the smarts, didn't have the pace, but he had the skill with the kick, and Adams raced onto it. And if the officials are happy, that is a cracker.
What a phenomenal kick. For those who don't know, Seb Davis started his career at centre, so he's very comfortable in the wide channels for a second row, and be very comfortable playing at blindside. What a fantastic bit of vision. Josh Turner, I think, flies off the line, puts in a big hit there. He's really filled that void that Nick Williams left for the Blues. And then for the Blues to pounce on that, that is fantastic vision to see that Josh Adams on his right-hand side, 30 yards away, perfectly weighted. Great finish from Josh Adams.
Just got the celebrations on hold for the moment, Topsy, because we're just checking to see if Seb Davis knocked this on right at the start. Just here. Did that come off his hand, or did it come off Nick Phipps' hand?
I think from initial viewing and this replay, I think it looks all Phipps. Don't think Seb Davis gets a hand to it. We'll just have another look here. So knock on there.
Mika?
Here we go.
So why you never touch the ball? So
the why never touch the ball. Right. You can stick with your on-field decision. Try.
Right.
Little conference meeting between Georgia and France confirms that Cardiff have scored an exceptional try.
It's a brilliant finish, isn't it? And that composure as well. We probably see a lot of guys just go head down, just hair after it, get reeled in. But for him to kind of look around, know he wasn't going to make it, put the kick in. I mean, just put an extra number on his back, and he's a 14. Puts the kick in. Brilliant finish by Adams. That's what we've seen him do all season long. And you know, 2 tries out of nothing, and all of a sudden now it's looking a different game.
Remember a try that Josh Adams scored off a crossfield kick in the Six Nations? This one not carrying quite the controversy that one did back in the day.
Knock on advantage. Right, green.
And the Blues, 2 tries to the good. Midway through this first half.
Deliberate knock on. Clearly deliberate.
Right, knock on. Inside, yeah.
It's been quite important now for Irish just to compose themselves. Obviously, they might be a bit shell-shocked after the 2 quick-fire scores, but we're only 21 minutes into this game, so there's plenty of time to almost take a breath. They've actually had a lot of territory in this game, and they've had the ball in some good areas of the pitch. So, you know, maybe a bit more composure, maybe not forcing the pass a little bit as well. You know, they are finding a few edges and a few weak shoulders in the Cardiff defence. So, a bit more patience. That pressure will tell.
Yeah, definitely. You know, like it's like momentum's like a pendulum in rugby, isn't it? You know, you'll have it for 10 minutes, then you'll have 10 minutes without it. London Irish will definitely have a period where they have the momentum, they have the Blues. You know, they have their foot on the throat when they're 22. They just need to make sure they do capitalise when they get there, but it'll come, and the Blues have to expect that.
9. Delaying the throw too much. Delaying the throw.
Not straight.
Yeah, but he delayed the throw.
There'll be loads of you at home who think we ought to see that more often. There'll be scrum halves wondering about consistency. But if Nika Amashukeli, our Georgian referee, has set the template, then it's a decent template.
Well, absolutely, and he set his stall out early. So long as we have consistency now.
Time off, Dr. Mead. Time is off.
So we're checking something. I was going to say, as long as we have consistency through the 80 minutes, then that's all you can ask for from your refereeing team.
Let's have another look at the try.
I mean, look at the top of the screen, look at the reaction of Josh Adams in the orange boots. You can just see he's herring up there. It's fantastic support at the top of the screen. Just so that's where you get that try instinct from. You know, he scores so many tries because his work rate off the ball is exceptional. And he's worked 80, 90 metres there to get on to the end of that ball. So it's fantastic work off the ball from Josh Adams. And for any young winger watching, when you get a line break, you've got to always work so hard to get on the end of it. And if you work that many times, 9 times out of 10, nothing might come of it. But that 1 time out of 10, you'll reap the rewards.
Right, same mark. Same mark.
Oh, let's go, Andrew! Let's go! Come on, Gossie, let's go, boy.
Let's go, guys.
Going to have a chat with Les Kiss, London Irish's head coach, in a moment or two, but he will want to see where this attacking scrum takes his charges. Ball needs controlling. Albert Tuasui does it, runs into both them, lays it back for Phipps, who needs to be quick on his feet to stop the threat of Turnbull. Navidi pops up and then pops backwards. Here's George Knott. He's tackled. And again, Turnbull there. Phipps, Cowan lays it back to the Wallaby, who very nearly managed to string the pass through to the onrushing Ollie Hassel-Collins. And then cleared away by Matthew Morgan, and it bounces into touch. Let's have a chat with Les. Top line thoughts, Les, after the concession of an early couple of tries.
Yeah, well, that's disappointing, but you know that's the third time we've been up in there, 22, and we've turned the ball over twice, and one scores a try, and we lost a line out to put pressure on their maul. We've got to control those moments, that's the bottom line, and then I think just from a defensive perspective we need to be a little bit more focused on every channel, because we know that they're dangerous right across their line.
Got Topsy Ojo up here with us, just wondering if you're forcing it a little bit too much, maybe a bit more patience might pay dividends.
Yeah, I don't think that's wrong. We know that there's space, we want to be able to play that type of footy, but you've got to be direct and make those decisions that keep you in the game, and make sure that they come up with the errors at the breakdown, that then you can force the game up the pitch. But I don't think it's something I'm going to hold them back from playing rugby, but we've just got to be smart about when and how we do it.
All right, great. Thanks for your time, Les.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah, I remember hearing Les a few weeks back saying that systems based on never making errors rarely get the best out of players. I'd be interested in your thoughts on this, Sam. You can't always wait for the perfect picture. His phrase was, perfection can kill you sometimes.
Yeah, it is. I think that's where you don't want to get caught up in too much of a structured game plan. You need to provide players with some structure, normally the first 1 or 2 phases, but beyond that, you say to your standoffs, your nines, then you use your eyes, you see where the space is, so you need players to keep that intuition as well.
That's absolutely. You almost give them a framework to work from and say, but boys, you're the ones out there on the pitch. Making opportunities are changing every second, so you have to be able to adapt to see what's happening in front of you, to make correct decisions, and then to execute it as well. And I think with London Irish at the moment, they're creating a lot. It's just that last pass isn't quite going to hands. A few knock-ons. That's another possession just there that they've turned over as well. So they're undoing a lot of their good work by individual errors.
There's a good chase from Adams, putting pressure on Hassel-Collins, and it's Blues ball again to try to structure something with. Driven up by Domachowski. Is Evans, Jared Evans. Williams and Navidi. What about this from Halaholo? Williams to Evans, and Adams again popping up like all good wingers should in areas that you wouldn't always expect him.
Absolutely. When a winger pops up and you're not expecting him, it's trouble. That's what you want to see, because great work rate, getting your hands on the ball as much as possible.
He might have been on that far right wing, but for popping up in midfield, as it was James Botham, who's no slouch, but not quite as fast as Josh Adams.
But what Cardiff are doing very well is stretching the field, so if Josh Adams wants to go and look for work inside,
in front of 22.
One of the back rowers just goes and takes his place, so it could be Botham, it could be Navidi. They're very comfortable interchanging, so it does give you, as we spoke about earlier, almost that free-flowing structure whereby it doesn't matter where you are on the pitch, as long as somebody is in there and filling that space, you can play to it and take advantage of those opportunities.
I think that's where the game's moved on massively in the last 5 years, is that we see it with the All Blacks, haven't we, over the past decade, how comfortable their forwards are with ball in hand. That skill set has been demanded from almost everyone across the game now, because teams want to play more expansive. They want forwards in the 50-metre channels, the wide channels. They need to have good ball skills. It sounds so obvious, but it has been neglected over the past decade in the Northern Hemisphere, where power and physicality has been king, but being able to play in the wide channels. You can see Dacey there, Navidi, all playing really quickly with their with ball in hand, you need that skill set across the park. You don't rely on your back so much to create things. So, and London Irish do the same. Their forwards are very comfortable ball in hand.
In the middle of all that, Will Goodrick-Clark late on Corey Hill. So Jared Evans studiously towards the ball between the posts, and Cardiff extending their lead. It's an impressive looking lead as we approach the half-hour mark. London Irish 3, Cardiff Blues 17.
Absolutely. I think Les's message to the London Irish team now, again, just a bit more composure, because they do need to cut the error count down. Their errors are killing them, but you know, you can't fault the effort. But unfortunately, every time they do get in good positions, they are turning the ball over. So now they've got it in the 22. Let's find some space. Let's move the ball there. But let's just be a bit composed about what we're doing.
Not. He needs just to get the ball away to find Blair Cowan. And again, Corey Hill, who is having a destructive game in the tight at the moment, ensuring that that's another Blues turnover.
Yeah, exactly what Topsy said. Whenever they get in the 22, they're just not holding on to that ball for more than 3 or 4 phases. And I think Cowan tried to go for the offload, might have been better just to have tried to get to ground and try and form that tackle. He tries to release the ball up top here, which allows Corey Hill, Ray Lilo to get underneath him. The players here, Maul, Dylan Lewis doesn't have to move, and the ball ends up on the Cardiff Blues side.
Do not have space, and there was issue with stability as well. So just keep space and stability.
He apparently watched France against England, France against Scotland rather, at home on TV. Although he was careful not to put the champagne in the fridge too early. It was a late shout.
I was texting a couple of the boys actually, chatting to them, and they were saying, I thought they'd be at the stage and all ready in case they were going to win. They were all just watching it in their pants and t-shirt at home, like all the rest of us.
You in your pants and t-shirt.
I was about to say Friday night in your pants.
a little glimpse into the Warburton household. You wear what you want, Sam, when you Sam Warburton.
American pants, that's trousers.
you wear your pants on a Friday night and enjoy yourself.
And a pizza.
I think this might be an image that lasts with us the entire weekend.
Sorry, guys.
Clipped off the top by Simmons. Irish with some work to do here to get themselves back into this contest. Albert Tuasui, never one to shy away from hard work. Likewise, Jackson and Loader. Oh, that is lovely. Jackson setting up Loader. Loader will score. All of a sudden, key to the door. And Irish doing the kind of things they've been doing for vast slices of this season. That is an absolute beauty.
It is, and exactly what they needed. Brilliant score straight off the training park. Some really, really good direct attack. They go one phase, they go again. They come back with Paddy Jackson. Ben Loader, inside shoulder, lovely line. And once he's gone, you're not catching it. Matthew Morgan can't get anywhere near there. Just really well constructed there. Loader off his wing, on that inside shoulder. Practiced on the training pitch, executed to perfection. Like I say, just gives Irish a bit more belief now. Something good to focus on now going into as we get closer to half-time. Really good stuff.
I know you've been working closely with Ben Loader, Topsy. What do you like about him as a runner, as a threat ball in hand, as you were for so many years?
He's just really bright for a young man, really intelligent runner. Like, you know, sometimes you might think that he's starved of possession, but he figures out ways to get himself involved in the game, and he's just very mature for a young man as well. And like we've seen through this season and the last 2 seasons, actually, just that trajectory of his development in terms of wanting to work hard. He had a little taste with England a couple of years ago, and he said, right, okay, I want to be involved in that conversation. So he knows that he needs to deliver more for London Irish, and that's what he's been doing this season. So it's been really good to see.
It's a really good score for London Irish. You have to credit either Paddy Jackson or the attack coach who has deciphered the Blues defence, because they attack back to the blind side, because that's where you're going to find your forwards coming from the line out. And it's a really, like you say, Topsy, straight off the training ground, and you have to give credit to the boys for identifying that weakness in the Blues defence.
Over the shoulder. It's inside.
Ben Loader picked out at the restarts by Jared Evans. That that's not happening by mistake. The Blues have decided that ball to Loader is the way to get things going again at those restarts.
Well, yeah, it's a tactic, and we've seen it happen exactly every single time. Kick off long to Loader. Obviously, you want to pin him down, get him involved in the breakdown, so that's actually your primary chaser out of any box kick.
Just don't move after the kick because you're in offside position initially, all right?
Just listening in there. If they know that Irish are going to kick the ball out, then it means they get a set-piece possession in and around 40 to 50 metres out, which, whether they want to drive down, which we've seen, they want to launch something direct into the midfield, it just gives you options.
They've been smart in the sense, London Irish, they've kicked off. It hasn't given Matthew Morgan any ball. When they do kick to Matthew Morgan, it's a kick to compete, just not giving him any space in the backfield. So that tactic is working for them. The kicking game is going okay.
Thomas Williams under a little bit of pressure, but it went backwards, and Halaholo was there to sort things out, but not for long, because Creevy has it for Irish, and Jackson and Hassel-Collins are conspiring, and so too Curtis Rona. Brought to the floor just outside the 22 by Matthew Morgan. Hassel-Collins, he and Loader, two academy graduates who are keen to build their long-term future here. Chawatama took it on, and a little clip through, and asking too much of Loader on that occasion. Frustration shown by Tom Parton, he knew it.
Yeah, it was the right idea. That's where the space was. I think he would have just liked that kick to stay in pitch, trying to make Matthew Morgan play it, or at least give Ben Loader a chance to get on it. But again, good pass. So the space is there, and just if that just sits just in that 5-metre channel, you make it a bit of a foot race. So that's the anguish on his face. But like I say, the players are looking, they're scanning, they're looking for where those spaces are and figuring out the best way to get the ball there.
Navidi standing off the line out to do exactly that. Blast it away, create a little bit more space, a better angle for Williams to launch the clearance. They've also got that extra long Cardiff Caterpillar. And Loader being hunted down by Hallam-Amos. Phipps, Chawatama, the link to Brophy Clues, who's trying to work a little bit more on that footwork, wants to be seen more than just a big gangly languid runner, and we saw it in operation just then.
I think if you're a 12 and you're going to carry into a lot of heavy traffic, you need something a bit more subtle, and I don't think Theo wants to be running headfirst into back rows all day. Some really good footwork in there.
Thanks.
Creevy, Parton, Rona, Hassel-Collins, however it was a knock-on, and Cardiff will have the scrum.
Yeah, I saw it was knock-on. He touched the ground.
Nico, I think he gathered it.
He didn't. I don't think he knocked that on either. I mean, it'd be interesting to see if he looks at it, but.
Oh, my bad. Your scrum.
Yeah, my bad.
My bad. Your scrum. Sorry.
Yes, your bad.
You actually caught the ball. My bad. Your scrum. Irish scrum.
Well, Nika Amashakeli's English is clearly top-notch if he's got "my bad" in his. I mean, I defy anyone listening today who isn't Georgian to know what "my bad" is in Georgian.
Yeah.
Anyway, top marks to the referee for having a look at the big screen, as we all were, seeing that it was a mistake, and Irish will have the restart from this scrum.
Sit.
Tuasui down, head over the ball, controlling it for Phipps and Jackson, and Rona gets it back to Loader, who is in a little bit of space, but that's very often enough for Ben Loader, and Hill knew that he had to be aware of the threat. This is Rogerson, Irish in a very handy position, centre field. Last 5 minutes of a busy first half. Brophy Clues releasing it for Hassel-Collins. Tries to go around Matthew Morgan. It's all getting a little bit tight, too tight.
It's a bit of a disappointing end, isn't it? Irish did really well on that left-hand side to create some space. Ollie Hassel-Collins tries to take Matthew Morgan on the outside, and once he makes that tackle and pushes you towards the sideline, you do get into a bit of strife. He's trying to force the offload, keep it in play, and ultimately Irish end up turning over another ball in really good attacking field position.
I'll give it time to sort out the numbers as well. They are coming 5.
Let's hit it! Let's hit it! 1.
Coral Hill has been the Blues' go-to banker, and he is again.
One stop, 9, one stop.
Williams telling Dacey that he's ready for the ball. He launches up towards halfway, and Hassel-Collins. Parton giving it some width to Loader. Blues defence off quickly, but it's Loader who's somehow found space through it. Cowan whips it back for Jackson to Asui, nicely offloaded to Chawatama. Jackson, Hassel-Collins to Asui. And paging, bulldozing for Gian this season. But
can't take the 9. No. Playing the 9 without the ball.
Legal changing of the line that's been picked up by the referee on James Botham. And the decision is to go for the posts. Incidentally, every Champions Challenge Cup tie across the various BT Sport, ESPN channels this Easter weekend. Just to pick out a few for you. Kingsholm later for Gloucester against La Rochelle in the Champions Cup, and at the same time in the Challenge Cup, if you'd rather, Montpellier against Glasgow. A couple of crackers to look forward to tomorrow as well, the day when you spoil for choice. Wasps and Clermont from the Rico at midday, and that'll be followed by Munster and Toulouse. A couple of European royal families meeting over Easter in Limerick. It is very much a pants and pizza weekend, Samuel, isn't it?
I don't know what to say to that.
Single-handedly changed weekends forever.
But you're thinking about pizza now when you get home, aren't you?
Well, it's been a good 10 minutes for the hosts. Having been 17-3 down, they've eased their way back into this, approaching half-time. Irish 13, Blues 17.
Has been a really good response, and Sam alluded to it earlier. I think both teams are going to have those purple patches whereby they have momentum and territory and things are going for them. So Irish have done really well to wrestle back some of the scoreline in this game. So I imagine Cardiff will kick long. Half-time will come, and it gives both teams a chance just to assess where they are and then how they kind of pull away from each other in the second half.
Well, that's it. No hanging around at the end of that first half. It's been a very watchable first 40 minutes. And certainly early on for Cardiff, a very good one. Christian Dacey burrowing under, Josh Adams connecting with a forwards kick for the second try, and then Ben Loader and Paddy Jackson's kicks bringing Irish back into the conversation. Half-time at the Brentford Community Stadium here in West London. London Irish 13, Cardiff Blues 17. Thank you, sir. A quick scan of the players down on the pitch. Doesn't look like there have been any changes at half-time. The referee, the Georgian, Nika Amashakeli, gets us going again. And gathered cleanly by Josh Turnbull, Blues skipper, but on the bounce he got it back. James Botham's waiting for it.
Now use it 9 now.
Josh Navidi goes in again to provide just an extra bit of space for Thomas Williams to safely find touch.
Just wait for him.
Similar tactic to the first time. I mean, it is windy, having just been down on pitch level, and as the temperatures change through the course of the day, it's very windy going into that corner, so it is actually quite a good place to try and pin teams. You've got right foot kickers going right to left. You can go long and left, pin the opposition down in there and make it really difficult for scrum halves to kick out.
Cowan held on to by Christian Dacey. Nick Phipps. Will Goodrick Clark rolls away with it. Again, Phipps snaps it away, but it's gone forwards. There's a little bit of chat at half-time, Sam, about the validity of this Christian Dacey try and whether there was some pre-binding going on here. Just have a look at...
Yeah, so Josh Turnbull puts his arm around Christian Dacey. I missed this live. I put my hand, I missed this. I didn't notice that. The referees want contact to be made between the Blues player and the London Irish player before the supporting player can get on Dacey, like in this example. So Josh Turnbull latches onto Christian Dacey, then they go into contact. Contact needs to be made first by the ball carrying tackler, then the latcher comes in. So yeah, something I missed live.
Part of a plan to lose at least some of these wedges from 5 metres out, which can sometimes go on seemingly for decades, to create a little bit more jeopardy, Topsy, between the initial ball carrier and the tacklers to make it a bit more of an even battle.
Yeah, especially that close to the line, because you've got the run-up. It's very difficult on your try line to get enough momentum and speed to make an effective tackle. You're almost always going to be soaking that up. So it's a mismatch, and as we say, it shouldn't be allowed, really. So, you know, referees have looked at that flying wedge in terms of making it a bit safer, and it's not that 2-on-1 unfair mismatch, really.
Yeah, I think it's a good call. It'll be really interesting to watch the Exeter game tomorrow, where they play Lyon, because Exeter do that so well in opposition 22. So yeah, I'm sure there'll be plenty of examples where it could get flagged up, and we'll see if teams respond to that over the weekend.
Today's officials were happy enough with it, and the Blues are ahead as Tua Sui starts to go through the gears. I think it was Lovejoy Chawatama coming over the top. Rob Simmons isn't happy either. It's gone against Rob Simmons.
He's not, but I mean, interesting to just see it again, but it's the threat of the Cardiff Jacklers in and around the breakdown, which almost means you panic and you fly in whichever way you can, and if you're late as well, you know, you don't have time to think, right, I need to come through the gate. You're just thinking, get the threat out of the way, but you end up coming in through the side, and we saw it in the first half. There's again, it's a big collision there. Turnbull straight on it, and he's in the side. You can see it by his body angle. He's coming in from that angle. You know, referees want to see square hips. They want to see that clear picture. So, you know, he's been consistent.
It's actually both of them, Sam. I think Chawatama on the other side as well could have easily been picked out if Simmons wasn't.
Yeah, from a safety point of view as well, when you're jackling and somebody comes in from the side, they're hitting your knee inwards, and I injured my knee so many times from receiving those type of hits, and you tweak your medial ligament, which is on the inside of your knee. So I think from a safety perspective, it's really good to try and stop those side clear-outs as well.
In the meantime, some concern for Corey Hill here. Looks like he might have a little bit of knee trouble as well. Significant role that he played for Wales over the last couple of months. I was talking this week about the try that he scored. Into the 40 points against England. One of Blues returning Six Nationers. Use them to good effect over the opening 43 minutes. There's another one of them. Regularly starting tests again as well, Sam, Josh Navidi, after Dan Lydiat's unfortunate injury very early on in the Six Nations campaign.
Josh Navidi's been one of the best Blues players in the last 10 years. He's been fantastic. He just never has a game less than 7, 8 out of 10. Just always good, and more often than not, he's 9 out of 10. You know, he's a great player. So yeah, definitely one of the best players that I've played with in the Blues jersey for sure.
And that one by Turnbull, who is clearly back to his best.
Don't change, stay there.
Turnbull again, running into Simmons. Cowan with the latest Irish tackle. A gathering Cardiff threat, led by Davis. He's being encouraged to throw his weight around a little bit more by Dai Young. Certainly nothing wrong with his kicking, as we saw in the first half. Here's Navidi. Cowan diving over the top. Hill, who happily seems fine as well.
London Irish muscling up really well on the Blues forward carriers so far, really stopping any Blues momentum.
Davis, ball away to Matthew Morgan, the fullback, but Ben Loader was onto him quickly. Curtis Rona as well. Irish thinking of the counter up. Chawatama was there, but Blues had just enough bodies there to go again. Turnbull. Navidi. Temporarily hit backwards, but still Cardiff ball.
It's a really good defensive set this from London Irish. It's the Blues going to knock the ball on, or are London Irish going to be too eager and be offside? Blues knock the ball on. That's a brilliant defensive set from London Irish. Really patient, didn't overchase the ball at the ruck, just allowed the Blues to keep running at them. They soaked up all that pressure and managed to get the ball back. It's a great defensive set.
No,
Irish defence drilled these days by Brad Davis, who knows all about the Cardiff threat after his seasons with the 3 seasons with the Ospreys. Good mates with Dai Young as well. They had lots of time together when they were at Wasps, and that Brad Davis drilled defence certainly did its job just then.
Really effective, you know, guys getting up, making a lot of double shots as well, making really good reads, fanning out, filling the pitch as well. And it's funny looking at the two defensive systems. You know, we see Cardiff going heavy at the breakdown with the guys that they've got there. Irish choosing in this instance definitely to kind of fan out a bit more, make their tackles. But
now, how about this? I think that's Will Goodrick-Clark on Dacey.
You've got shoulder to the head there, certainly, haven't you? So you're looking at least yellow. The way things are going at the minute.
It's actually Dylan Lewis, apologies, who took it in. And Eric Gauzin will have a look. Ball carried in by Dylan Lewis. Will Goodrick-Clark, the tackler.
See, when you look at Will Goodrick-Clark there, I don't think the referees will see there's an effort to bend at the hips to try and create that low tackle. He's a bit upright.
Put it full speed.
Yeah, so we are looking at
potential head clash.
Yeah, potential head clash
from the green one. Number 1. Okay.
Yeah, there's a shoulder to the head. He hasn't bent at the hips. There's no mitigating factor in the sense Dylan Lewis hasn't dipped into the collision. So it looks like the way things have been going, that could be a red card.
Yeah, I guess you're. They'll look at what part of his body makes the contact. Is it shoulder to head, or if it's head to head? But like you say, it's the change in behaviour. We just look here. So because Will Goodrick-Clark doesn't dip at all.
Technique from green 3.
So can we see this angle again in a slow speed?
And that's actually the key word there, poor tackle technique.
It's Andrew Jackson adding his thoughts. He's saying that.
It's all right. I'm gonna tell you what I'm seeing, Eric. Green 1 is upright and he leads with a head in front. So I think that's a full play. And now the point of contact is to opponent's head.
I agree with the fact, always I.
Yeah, and he leads with the head.
Poor tackle technique.
Yeah, so he hits him directly to the
direct
face.
Contact to the head.
So that's a high degree of danger. You're seeing a red card. Are you happy?
Happy,
Eric? Yeah. Yeah, so he's always upright and he's with
carries upright.
One green.
Matt Rogerson doing what he can to argue Will Goodrick-Clark's case, but I think the judge and the jury have made up their mind, and it's going to be a European red card.
You're always upright, you lead with the head, you make direct contact, that's high degree of danger.
To be honest, it is so consistent now. I think the officials have got it right these last few weeks, last few months, where anything to the head, you got to come red down then. So you're starting at a red card. If Dylan Lewis dipped, then you might be able to drop it to a yellow. If there was another mitigating factor, you might be able to drop it to a yellow. But there was no other mitigating factor. It was at speed, with force, to the head. There's no other option.
And that's the key thing as well. I think the framework is very clear, and you know, probably heard Matt Richardson saying the ball carrier was high, but we're looking at the tackler. The tackler's habits have to change. They have to dip. If both dip, then you do get some sort of mitigation and they'll work through that. But if the ball carrier is high and the tackler's high, there's always an element of danger. There's always a risk of shoulder-to-head, head-to-head contact. We've seen it a lot in recent weeks, seen it again just now, and there is no other decision but a red card.
You know, Goodrick Clark's not a dirty player, and that's why I think people will have some sympathy. I think they just for 12 months we need to understand that we're going to see these red cards quite frequently. These players over their careers have probably made 1,000 tackles, and that they might have got away with that. And I think the framework is right in protecting players' heads, and it's the absolute right thing to do, but it will take time to change behaviour because it's so instinctive, the game of rugby. It happens at such high speed at ground level under fatigue. You know, it's going to take a while for behaviours to change, but it's the right call.
It's the first red card of Will Goodrick Clark's career, and it's a tough one to swallow. Jared Evans adding the extra points. London Irish 13, Cardiff Blues 20. In that situation, Sam, how much time, though, a millisecond away from the tackle, does Goodrick Clark have to make that decision?
This is where I have a lot of sympathy with players, because
let's come back to this because the mercurial Seb Davis is on the ball, and who knows what might happen when Seb Davis has it. Domachowski takes it on. Thomas Williams. Oh, that's neatly away by Josh Adams under a lot of pressure, and Navidi hooks it back inside, and Thomas Williams couldn't gather cleanly. Irish with the knock-on advantage. Down to 14 as they are. Jackson to Cowan. Phipps is now the time to find the seats. It is. The advantage was overtaken quickly by Matthew Morgan.
No, you can't.
And there was obstruction.
Yeah, sorry, Nick, to go back to your question, I think it's very easy to tackle low when you're doing like a side-on tackle or a tackle from a 45-degree angle. When it's a head-on-head collision, it's very difficult to tackle low, because if you set really low, obviously your vision is impaired because you're looking towards the ground a bit more, and it's so much easier to get stepped, you know, left or right. When you're side-on, it's very easy to go to create a low tackle, but forwards find themselves in these positions a lot when you're defending off number 9, where it's a direct carry. It's very difficult to go low early, because then Dylan Lewis would just step right round him. So you need to try and stay high as long as possible. Then the challenge then for coaches, which is what they do coach then, is when the collision can be made, then you dip last minute. But that timing is much easier said than done.
And that's actually, you said earlier, that's a technique that will take time, because the players out there have spent all their careers coming up to this point tackling in a certain way, so it will take a lot of pain that we're seeing right now to get to the end result that we want, which is better technique but also a safer game as well.
Ball was loose. Creevy initially there to sweep things up. Here goes Brophy. Clues on one of those arcing runs. It's opening up again for him, and Ollie Hassel-Collins, and again that is an absolute peach. It's going to be checked, maybe for a forward pass, but otherwise, again, that was Irish perfection, ball in hand.
So on-field decision is a try. I just want to have a look on the knock-on down there during a maul by Green.
Knock-on the maul, the previous maul by Green.
Yeah.
Possible knock-on.
Yeah, so on-field decision is a try.
So not a forward pass, but a knock-on off the line out, and then the subsequent maul.
So it looks like when the ball gets transferred to the back, they're looking for potential knock-on. Creevy's looking to get the ball there. It's gone backwards. It's gone backwards. I think that should be fine. You can see the ball gets transferred back.
Here. Hands from to Green. Ball traveling backwards.
It's almost like he's about to lose control, but he just scoops it backwards.
Goal, please, wider.
Right, Eric, I'm not seeing this as a knock-on, so try.
The ball is traveling backwards. No knock-on.
Don't need to see that again. That's gone backwards.
That's good.
Agustin Creevy in the middle of all that. Making sure the ball did go backwards, and Holly Hassel-Collins making absolutely sure it ended up in a try.
He did, and it was a brilliant finish as well. Almost had to mute the celebrations until it was confirmed. But I mean, fantastic play from Brophy Clue. Some really good speed to get on the outside. Really well finished.
Needs it to come back, needs it to come back. He's judged it perfectly. And Irish are back in this game, a man down, but because of this try, we're level. Irish 20, Blues 20.
It's brilliant to see us out the back, and he just, that little hitch kick there just gets him on the outside of Lilo, and then just about composure now. Ball back into two hands, becomes a 2v1 in that left-hand corner, gives it to Hassel-Collins, who's finishing for fun this season, and 20 all, and one man down hasn't made a difference so far. It's been a brilliant response from Irish.
And the Exiles and Rob Simmons make sure that they win the ball from the restart. Jackson doesn't hang around with it. Morgan scuttling backwards. Oof, the Irish were rescued there by the post protector, because that ball was giving every indication that it wanted to head into the cheap seats.
Oh, he was watching that thinking, please stop, because that was coming all the way back, and he'd probably tell you meant it, but no, that was good, what Irish needed.
You can hear the energy from the Irish pack and the subs bench and the players in the back line now. That even though they got the man down, you can kind of feel the momentum shifting in Irish's favour. So it'll be interesting to see how this pans out over the next 10 minutes. So they keep the momentum, and can they stay accurate? Because if they do, then we could be looking at some more points.
Irish are ready themselves to bring on Sean O'Brien.
Wait, hang on. Okay. Just have a linesman behind you, please.
So no,
line up here.
Move. We've got that move up.
White, don't creep in.
He's been around
White,
one or two European blocks in his time.
So White is going to go.
We'll wait to watch this line out along with the rest of us first, though. Nicely done by Rogerson athletically. Again, Blair Cowan, who was standing out to drive things up in midfield to set the platform right or left. They go left. Phipps, Hassel-Collins, those flashing feet.
Tackle.
Tuisui nods, he wants it. Instead, it goes to Chawatama, who tries to take on both them. Jackson, Cowan, again, the green swirls, the patterns that they're running, and Rona.
They're not held.
It's a lot of work for Cardiff to be having to do defensively at the moment. And so many London Irish threats coming from all over the place, and Loader's another one of them. A bit isolated at the moment.
Tackle.
And Rogerson was there to make sure that he wasn't outnumbered for too long. Now Phipps. Bulk of Irish numbers away to the right-hand side. One of them is Creevy. Another one is Jackson, and this is Parton. Chawatama. Botham. For a very brief fish, but not for long. Brophy Clues and Hassel-Collins in tandem. This is not. Laid back by Tuisui. Now it's Cardiff's time to go to work defensively. They've got to stop Rona.
Dude, they've recovered slightly, but what London Irish are doing really well is they're just shifting the ball, so they're attacking in different ways. They're going wide, and you've got players popping up everywhere. Like Cardiff get the turnover there, but what Irish are doing really well to keep the momentum in their attack was that variety. But it looks like we're going to have a look at something here.
Mika, we need to review a potential full play.
It's Corey Domachowski who got back to his feet, leading the celebrations. However,
potential leading arm by Green.
All right. Time is off. TMO check.
Again, the voice of Eric Gauzin, our French TMO in the truck in the car park.
Eric, tell me. We are living.
Now, is that Ben Loader on Thomas Williams?
14.
It's his right arm here. I guess they look at, does it start in his chest and travel up into his neck, or does he hit him in his neck directly? Because neck and head will be treated pretty similarly.
So we have...
No.
We have the ball. Wait. We have the leading arm.
So okay, Eric, I think the previous angle was the best one. This one is actually the best one. All right. So okay, and I'm going to describe what I'm saying.
We need to see from the other angle to see if there is a clear separation before.
Yeah, fine. So we probably need an angle from the other side if you don't want.
So we have a clear separation here.
All right. So I'm going to describe what I'm saying. Yes, there is a separation, and there is a contact on the halfway throat area, but I'm not seeing this as a much force, because the player initially stops and he loses his force onto the engagement. So yes, there is a contact. So I'm with low force, with medium degree. So I'm going to go with the yellow card on this one.
Can I show it full speed before you make the decision, please?
Mika Hamashikeli seems to have made up his mind several minutes before Eric Gauzin has, but it's pointing towards a yellow at the moment, Sam.
Yeah, so I think because his neck has gone towards his neck area, they're looking at, you look at a red, and because it's not at force, it's not at speed, it brings it down to a yellow. Which is why I think they wanted to show it at full speed to check that it wasn't at force.
He raised his elbow and it separated. Hang on. He raised his elbow into a contact, which is obviously a foreplay. But because of low force, we reduced on the yellow card. 14.
You can hand off, you can't elbow off. And again, there wasn't a great deal of time for him to react before the tackler was on him.
It's on the throat.
No, and that's what I was thinking. As I'm watching this, I'm thinking he's half getting tackled. He's seeing someone coming towards him. Okay, the arm is high where that contact point is made, but that's such a split-second reaction in that he's not actually trying to fend, he's almost trying to brace, and because of where he's caught him, you know, we have the mitigation and that, but I think that one is very, very harsh. I think, you know, if anything, he's being tackled, his momentum is dead, he's not looking to a forceful fend, it's almost like I need to brace because I'm about to get walloped, and unfortunately he walked with the yellow card.
It's again 30 meters in front of the post.
Net result, London Irish down to 30 now.
Time back on.
Will Goodrick's Clark's red, Ben Loader's yellow, and Jason Harris has come on for Ray Lilo. Harris has gone on to the right wing, and Josh Adams has gone into midfield to partner Willis Halaholo.
Jason Harris looks like he's at the front of this line-out at the minute, so Cardiff have got something cooked up to use him, a bit of deception there.
Hill, Williams, Harris was offering himself, instead it was Botham a little bit further out. Aarons. Williams. Seb Davis part of the clear-out crew. Williams, and now Adams on that left-hand side. He's got Turnbull not far away, gets back to his feet. Dear me. Tuasui up early and eager to warm himself, but he missed the tackle. And Blues can carry on rebuilding. Evans looking for some width here, and here's the new man, Harris. Turnbull, thunderous head-to-head with Bill Matter 11-12 days ago. He's head-to-head right now with Tuasui. Doesn't get any easier, but Cardiff making decent progress here. Chawatama doing what he can to mount the doors. The London Irish's defence. Knott goes in, Cowan goes in. However, Dylan Lewis did a good job of protecting that ball on the floor.
See, this is where we see a lot of the latch-in now, so it's going to be a really hard thing to coach out of players. You know, I saw it on 2 occasions there. I think that needs to be made quite clear to players in particular.
Josh Adams looking overly happy with life at the moment.
Number 7, Green. Change.
I know that there's a lot of talk amongst the Blues at the moment, Sam, that they don't want to kick the lead off the ball, in Di Young's words, but they don't want to play too much in their own half either and build that kind of pressure that will come onto them. And one of the things they're looking to do is to develop bigger ball carriers, or encourage the likes of Seb Davis to carry the ball. You talked about it pre-game. It's one of those things that maybe there's some room for improvement there.
Yeah, the Blues haven't, you know, over the last maybe 10 years, 8 years, haven't had, say, like a big pack that you might see in more commonly in the Gallagher Premiership, particularly with some influx of some South African players who really bolster teams' packs. They've had a bit more mobility. That's what their game has been. You know, back at the Arms Park, they've got an artificial pitch which is very quick, and that's the game plan that they've played. You know, counter-attack rugby guys who are very good at turning ball over, and then get it to the likes of Matthew Morgan and Owen Lane and Josh Adams and Hallam Amos and the brilliant footwork that Cardiff Blues have got in the backfield. But yeah, trying to marry that up now with a bit more of a physical game plan will take them, I think, to that next level.
You'll have noticed that Blair Cowan has given way, and Sean O'Brien is now with us.
It's a rugby incident for the white.
There he is, double into London last season. Injuries have rather lessened the impact that he would have hoped to have had, Topsy, but he's now enjoying a run of games.
Yeah, he is, and he would have been more frustrated than anyone with the injuries. You know, you move club, Irish mistouch, but you want to have an immediate impact to really kind of make a statement, and it's been a long time coming for him, but at least now he's back on the pitch, he's able to put a run of games together, so it's just great to see him back out there fit.
Halaholo rolling off the tackle of Rona. This is a decent spell, as you'd expect from Cardiff. They're 2 men to the good for the time being. Williams again to Evans, and now Adams drops the ball on his boot, and Hassel Collins has to go across, and Tom Parton made sure that there was no way through for an eager Hallam Amos.
They're coping pretty well, London Irish, considering they've got 2 men down. What you're going to do in your defensive system is your collision has to be really good, because that will slow the ball down, but you probably can't afford to throw as many men into the rucks, because that's just going to compromise the numbers on their feet in your defensive line.
However, Cardiff have got the ball back here, and Amos picks out Davis. Williams to Christian Dacey.
No tackle now. So
Williams half held by Phipps, but not before he got the ball away to Navidi. Evans, and then Halaholo. That's a lovely pass, and that's a great score. And Jason Harris absolutely vindicates the decision to bring him on at this point. Blues using the full width of this West London pitch, and Harris using the final centimetres to wrestle his way over.
Yeah, it was good patience from the Blues just to realise that it might not take 1 or 2 phases to score against 13 men. It might have to have a little bit more patience, and it might take 5 or 6. It was a brilliant final pass from Willis Halaholo here. It skips 2 London Irish players, and Jason Harris goes straight into the corner. It was good patient play. The space is out there, it's just not rushing to try and find it. They found it well though.
Lovely pass at the end, didn't have to break stride. In full flight, was able to catch and dot it down, and that's the key, isn't it? It's moving, the space will be there, it will come. It might take an extra phase or so, but it will come eventually. Irish are down to 13 men, so they're having to make a lot of tackles. It's energy sapping, so just a bit patient with it. You move the ball there, everybody's accurate with their passing and their lines of running as well. The space will open up, and it's a really tidy finish.
Well, it's a tough conversion. It didn't go over, so it's just a 5-point score, but again, it's another score to enjoy.
See Brofer Clues there, he's calling men around the corner, but Cardiff have 6 players there against Irish's 4. A bit of manipulation in the middle, the nice flat ball. Parton has 2 men to cover, he can't drift off to the second one. It's a well-finished try.
The Irish, in the meantime, have changed 2/3 of their front row, taken off Agustin Creevy and Lovejoy Chawatama, the hooker and the tight head, and brought on Matt Cornish and Ollie Hoskins.
Carry then. Say you two.
Jackson strides his way up and then over halfway, and that is brilliant burgling work again on the floor. Davis just pops it up for Hill. Dacey clearing that space over the ball. Morgan popping up in the line. Oh, it's a penalty. It's gone against Dacey, rather Navidi.
See, this is where, for me, where you're in this middle third, you're still 40 yards from your line. I don't want to sound too conservative, but Cardiff Blues are in the lead. I just wonder whether that's an opportunity where you can pin a corner, try and get the ball deep into the Irish 22, rather than overplay in that middle third, and now invite London Irish to get some points on the board and bring the scoreline really close. Just think a bit of game management there. You just need to try and pin them back, gain some territory possession, ask London Irish to exit in a pressurised situation and control the game that way.
So we had a neck call in the first half as well. Now a second neck call. Next contact with neck. It's going to be yellow card. Yeah, hell, Lord.
Been impressed with Nico Amashikeli. Not too many Georgian refs, I suspect, that many of us could mention off the top of our heads, but he's had good control of this, good communication. Players have known exactly where they stood.
Absolutely, I think his communication first and foremost has been very clear, very concise, and his consistency as well. You know, from minute 1 through to now minute 59, pushing 60. He's refereed it exactly as he started, so you know he's been very good. I've been very impressed with him.
He's got a couple of new Cardiff props to police, however, because Domachowski and Lewis have given way to Rhys Carre and Dimitri Arhip. From the penalty, that's not what London Irish wanted. They've been wasteful at key points today.
I think that's it, and you know there's 20 minutes left. So, but those opportunities whereby you think, right, we're going to build pressure. I know Paddy's gone for that. It's a long kick, and you encourage your 10s. You know, a 5-metre lineup is much better than 10 or 15. But if it doesn't work off now, you kind of have to rejig your thinking. So you want your 10s to go for it, no doubt about it. But you need. Irish have coughed up too many of those opportunities in this game so far.
Well, they've got another one here off the back of Cardiff penalty at the line out. Not for long, however. It was held up, and James Botham comes up with the medal.
You could hear the referee there saying it's a maul, and Seb Davis stepping round to block that ball from coming back, and that's bailed Cardiff Blues out of quite a few sticky situations today, creating those maul turnovers, or those jackal turnovers on the floor. Is at this point beyond the collision now, the referee says maul, and Seb Davis steps around there. You can see with number 4 on his back, and that just stops the ball from coming back. Great play from James Botham and Seb Davis.
Just worry for Matt Rogerson in the middle of all that, Topsy. He was the ball carrier driving in, and he was the one caught underneath that pile of bodies trying to stop him.
Yeah, he got twisted up a bit awkwardly in there. You know, Seb Davis is stepping round. You know, he's wrestling with the ball up top, doesn't have complete control of his legs as he's trying to get to ground as well, and looks in a bit of discomfort there at the minute.
Let's have a chat with David Young while Matt Rogerson gets treated. Di, where is this? How do you make the most of this at the moment 2-man and soon to be 1-man advantage?
Well, obviously, Nick, we've got to keep hold of the ball, not giving away silly little penalties. We don't need to do that. We need to control the field, and when we control the field, we don't need to look for miracle balls. If we can just keep the ball, go through our phases, and hopefully they run out the defenders.
I know you're looking to be a little bit more pragmatic, not being too much circus in your own half. How have you got that balance today, do you think?
Not too bad, but there's nothing in the game. As I said, we know how good London Irish are, and they've shown on occasions how much of a threat they are. We caused ourselves problems in the last 10 minutes of the first half. We got a little bit loose, give away 1 or 2 silly penalties, and you give them momentum, they're going to cause you problems. Second half, we started pretty strongly, Nick. You know, we just need to make sure and look up If they've got a full defensive line and space behind, put it behind them. If they're holding back, obviously let's look to attack. But the main theme is really keeping hold of the ball and using extra numbers to our advantage.
You've still got some options on the bench. How might you use those? How are you looking at the replacements at the moment?
Yeah, we're just about to freshen it up, Nick, really. As you said, we've got some quality on the bench. We certainly don't want to empty it too early, pretty much, but we certainly will be bringing them guys on, hopefully, to give us some more impact.
All right, brilliant. Great stuff. Thanks, Doug.
All the best.
Because Will Goodrick-Clark has gone, of course, and we've got a scrum. Irish need to bring on Facundo Hihenya, Argentinian who's not been long here after arriving from Leicester. There he is. Now to bash horns with Dimitri Arhip.
So this is a really interesting scrum off the back of what Dai Young has just said. Obviously, Irish men down. So off this scrum, they've got 7 backs against 4 in the front line. So do you kick or do you run? What are they thinking and what are they seeing as well?
Curtis Rona, one of those backs who was in the scrum. And Cardiff just happy to clear the ball up towards halfway. Hallamemos started on the left wing for Wales in the opening game of the Six Nations against Ireland, but then suffered a head injury which interrupted his progress as well. Josh Adams was also available again. And this is Matt Cornish, new Irish hooker.
We need to do it faster, please. There's too much. Come on.
Let's stop this drive. Stop this drive. Stop this drive.
Tomorrow.
Taken by Rob Simmons. Irish with less than 60 seconds now to go on the Ben Loader yellow. Won't be long before they're at least back to 14. Brophy Clues back to his feet as he needed to be and back sharply despite the efforts of Evans. Loose ball. Swept up by Simmons. Another former Wallaby, Phipps. And this is nice work from George Knott. Phipps again. It's been a real energy about Irish at times, ball in hand, and this is building towards one of those moments again. Ambitious pass to Hassel Collins, who's got some work to do. Closely attended as he was by Jason Harris and Adams. Sean O'Brien not holding on to it for long. Employing Hihenya.
You can't do that. You dived him in the chart. You can't do that. Off you go. Off you go.
I thought the penalty was for the first London Irish player diving in off his feet, but James Botham stepped away, so referees tend to ignore that. But I think it was a shoulder. Sean O'Brien tucked his arm in on the clear out, which is what the penalty was, so deemed as foul play. So it's said Davies was going to compete. He moves out the way, so London Irish go off their feet. So it's Sean O'Brien with the scrum cap we were looking for. Yeah, it's just he goes into the back of, I'm not sure which Blues player that is. He just goes into his back to clear him out, and he's not really a threat, which
change 12.
The referees want to avoid that behaviour.
This is Terence Hepatima, who's available again after a 3-game ban for a red card against Leicester. He takes the place of Theo Brophy Clues, and Liam Belcher is on as well for Cardiff. Christian Dacey replaced by Belcher. I think Lloyd Williams has also come on to replace Thomas Williams. A couple of very handy options at 9. Dai Young and the Blues have, replacing quality with quality. There's Lloyd Williams, part of the Wales 23 that won handily in Rome in the Six Nations.
Yeah, great experience to bring off the bench, and they've always had quality 9s at Cardiff Blues, and to be able to bring Lloyd Williams on, it's been a fascinating battle to see Lloyd Williams and Thomas Williams battle for that number 1 9 jersey over the past few years. So yeah, two quality players.
He's through the middle.
New hooker, Belcher getting his hands on the ball. Irish think that they might have done just enough, though they haven't, clearly not, because Williams can get Hill rumbling again in midfield. Still the game to be won here, 15 minutes to go. Increasing suspicion that another Cardiff try might finish the debate, however. And Lloyd Williams is part of it and gets it. Oh, that's how you make an impact. Again, sharp Blues handling and the eye for the gap from the new man. Williams with another Cardiff try.
Yeah, it's a short line from Jason Harries over from Josh Adams, which allows the space for Jason Harries to get on the outside. London Irish just bite in, thinking Josh Adams is going to take that ball short. Gives Jason Harries and his power. He busts through that first tackle. Fantastic support line, as all good nines run all the time from Lloyd Williams on the inside. Instant impact.
It's a really good score, isn't it? Like they flood a lot of numbers around that left-hand side, so both centres for Irish bite in. Harris is able to go through to break the tackle, and then it's just about support play. He has a player on his left, there's Lloyd Williams on his right. Instant impact off the subs bench, and how crucial a score is that going to be? Just takes the scoreboard away with this kick to come as well. Could be a big, big score.
Spent the last 8-9 weeks working with Neil Jenkins in the Wales camp on the kicking. Jared Evans, and he makes sure that Lloyd Williams tries a 7-point score.
Just here again, they run 6 backs into that channel against 3 Irish defenders, so you're forcing them to make decisions. Plus there's a missed tackle in there as well, so you kind of compound that. So Rona does his best to try and get back, but it's too much. There's too many numbers coming through, and again, a really smart finish by Lloyd Williams.
Yep. And restart meantime, smartly taken running backwards by Seb Davies.
Use it! Use it!
13 minutes to go, 12-point lead. Will that be enough against an Irish side down a man, having lost Will Goodrick-Clark to a red card early in the second half, if you're recently joining us? This is Hoskins. Phipps, Jackson, Knott. He's popping up more and more in the wide open spaces. George Knott. Jackson to O'Brien. Hepatima. Some significant slices of this match. Blues defence, run by Richard Hodges, has dealt well with multiple Irish threats, but that penalty was conceded by Belcher.
Irish are moving the ball really well, even with a man down. You know, those second touches, those variations as well. They're keeping Cardiff guessing, which is what's making it a bit difficult for their defence. But I think Cardiff's rearguard action, their ability to kind of recover and then to get on the ball, is really what has stifled Irish's attack so far. That when they have got into good positions in and around the 22, that's just what's kind of cut off a bit of the momentum there. But Irish are showing that even a man down, they can create. So we just need to really put the foot down now and try and finish some of these off as the scoreboard starts to tick away from them.
Cornish simply throw to the front and Rob Simmons.
Advantage across.
Blues players being thrown across the line, so Irish with the advantage.
Advantage green, yeah.
Jackson. Hepatima. Up to Rona. Taken on again by Hepatima. Phipps, bouncing ball. Didn't bamboozle Josh Adams, as it sometimes can.
Hang on, Ace. You are sealing off here. We go, no advantage. Sealing off.
It's Lovejoy Chawatama who was sealing the ball off. So
now we have an increase in the penalties in different areas. Next one going to be yellow card. A reward, please. For jumping across in the line. Jumping across.
Good opportunity for Irish this now. No, Cardiff Blues 5 metres out, plus on a last warning from the referee as well. So, you know, all the pressure is on them now. So clear heads, execute the line out. We assume a drive is coming, so
Give me some
big
time, please,
moment in the game.
Nika, we need to review potential full play. Sorry. Too late, let it go.
Eric Gaurzin wanted to come in there, but on we go. Go London Irish with Rob Simmons trying to direct this. Phipps waiting for his moment to release those backs. Jackson and Hassel Collins. Over 10 minutes to go in this last 16 game in the European Challenge Cup, and Irish looking for a try to get themselves back into it. Jackson not far away. That's great work from Hill. The ball's loose and he ripped it away, and then Josh Navidi and the rest of the gang flooded in. Liam Belcher was there as well, and again under a lot of pressure in a deep hole, it's Cardiff who come away with it.
Another turnover which has got them out of a tricky situation, and you've got to credit Richard Hodges, who's the defence coach for the Blues. It's Corey Hill, number 5, with his red scrum, and you need to keep your eye on. He gets in perfectly quick, and for that skill set from the second row, that's great work from Corey Hill, but just relieves the pressure again.
Yep.
Another one of the changes that Dai Young talked about. This is Ollie Robinson, who won't lessen the Blues' turnover threat, that's for sure.
It must be, you know, it's a strong part of the Blues recruitment almost. You know, if you're in that pack, it's a skill set. You look across from 1 to 8, they all have the ability to win jackal turnovers on the floor. It's just something which has been ingrained in Cardiff Blues' defensive system. And there's Richard Hodges on the right hand side. He's done a great job. Only Munster have conceded less tries in defence in the Pro 14. So he's done a great job as defensive coach for Cardiff Blues over recent years.
It's James Bertham who is coming off. It is just an underlining, really, of the strength in depth in that back row, that even without a returning Ellis Jenkins, and how good to see him back after a couple of years out, that they can start with Botham, and that they've got Ollie Robinson off the bench. Still some defensive work to do here as an airborne Simmons brings it down for London Irish. Cornish has it. Off he goes. Taking on Navidi. Phipps, Hoskins. It's Reece Carey over it. Cardiff offside.
Can you get me a number?
O'Brien.
Can you check? I think it was 18.
Taken on by Hehenya. Behind O'Brien to Jackson, and then breaking through is the very dangerous Terence Hepatima. He's made a difference since he's come on, and he's made sure that these closing minutes won't be a cakewalk for Cardiff. Irish still very much in this European tie, and Hepatima with the try.
Absolutely, they're digging deep, and Hepatima, he's had really good impact since he's come on. He's carried hard, he's carried straight, and just showed it again there. You know, it's just a one-on-one tackle. Irish have the penalty advantage. Just that line from Rona as well, you know, that just helps him massively. It turns a 2v1, sorry, into a 1v1. So Halaholo has to stay. It's a one-on-one with Hepatima. He busts the tackle. This game's just, he's not done yet. It's not done yet.
Sorry, I don't have it.
8 minutes to go. London Irish 27, Cardiff Blues 32.
It's great power from Hepatima, isn't it? It is just one-on-one confrontation. He just busted that tackle so well. Fantastic power to get through that defensive line. Brought London Irish right back into this game. We knew at the start of the game it was going to be full of excitement and plenty of tries, and both teams certainly haven't disappointed us there.
Old Decky's starting to think about extra time. Are we going to need the extra 20 minutes? As Rory Thornton comes on for Seb Davis for the Blues. The next job for Irish is to negotiate their way out of the 22 after the restart was well gathered by Simmons.
Oh, wait, so stay there, don't move. It's carried in and use it, please.
A couple of steps backwards, but it's Phipps with the responsibility. Morgan. And rolls off the attempted tackle. Hill, Adams, Navidi.
No! No!
Thornton's waiting. Well, we heard Dai Young talk to us a few minutes back about game management. This absolutely now about game management, and that will frustrate the DOR.
Whistle go. Go on, whistle go. No, no. Away. Give me the ball. Give me the ball. Away. No, penalty is yours.
Yes, 10.
Okay, but John, you don't need to explain. Penalty is yours. Yeah, it's turning off.
He's definitely fired up. Oh, but you're right about that game management, though. Kind of in that middle third, you think so? You wouldn't know that Cardiff are still a man up. And maybe just in that middle third, now we think, right, we need to maybe see the game out or to be a bit smarter. Just their carriers getting a bit isolated, that extra roll, which again referees are looking out for, the sealing off penalties as well. So just a couple of technical errors creeping into their game.
Thornton wasn't far away, but it's Fitz and London Irish who can come away, and now that's wonderful. And here goes Ollie Hassel-Collins. Ollie Hassel-Collins has stolen through, and London Irish, a man down, are on the verge of stealing this tie. A conversion to come to take the lead with less than 5 minutes to go.
Well, I'll tell you where London Irish have been brilliant this evening is their line-out attack. Their line-out attack has been ruthless in their first phase attack. They've obviously identified certain weaknesses, and they've scored off the first two phases. I think it's 3 or 4 times this game, but Sean O'Brien does well to suck in the defensive line. That inside ball there, the Blues do not push off inside of that. Willis Halaholo has to take the London Irish, can't see which player was there, but Jared Evans doesn't push off on the inside. He gets stuck on the previous runners, and that's what opens the gap there. It's a fantastic start to play from London Irish.
It's been a real area of strength for Irish this season as well. They score a lot of tries, starting with line-out attack, nearly 70%. And they do their homework as well. You can see another well-orchestrated move. They've put work on it in the training ground, executed to perfection, getting your danger runners, Loader in the first half, Hassel-Collins second half into the game. And like I say, you wouldn't think they were a man down the way they're playing. Just real exuberance, real energy as well, and real accuracy.
Four minutes to go. The Blues still have time. However, with 4 minutes to go, it's London Irish 34 all of a sudden. Cardiff Blues 32. Now the restart. Again, a backpedaling Rob Simmons. How secure will this be? The kicking duties delivered by Loader. And that's gone straight out.
I did think, did he get knocked back in?
Yeah, all right. No, he caught outside and it was carried back, yeah.
It's 7, baby! Green! Green 7! Numbers, sir! Numbers, please.
3 minutes to go. And now the Blues with a foothold just outside the Irish 22. Belcher. This is Halaholo. Lloyd Williams. Oh, there's a penalty coming. Paddy Jackson not rolling away. Might as well go for the drop goal, which they have, which they get. That is composure. Jared Evans slotting it over. We don't need the penalty. Little over 2 minutes to go, and Dai Young's Blues back ahead. Irish 34, Cardiff 35.
What a brilliant game, just back and forth. Irish are certainly going to kick short now to try and get possession back. So Cardiff Blues need to set up for a short kick-off because they're not going to kick it deep. London Irish, they're going to want to get possession back as soon as possible, so need to be ready for that. Just too easy. They needed to kick short there to put pressure on Cardiff Blues. Kicking deep now allows the Blues to recollect possession and have an exit play. The Irish had to go short there and try and compete with that ball in the air to get it back.
And Cardiff 2 minutes away. from a trip to the Rec, from a trip to Bath in the quarter-finals. Parton for London Irish to Jackson, Loader. Jackson, Hassel-Collins, he's on a hat-trick and he's on his own, he's bursting through, skating his way to the line, and that's a brilliant covering tackle. Josh Adams coming across, how important might that be? But still the situation's been set up by Hassel-Collins and driven on by Hoskins, and this is Hihenya, and how close are London Irish now? What an extraordinary finish to this match. Hassel-Collins, Corey Hill has to give it up. Oh, the try's been scored! Curtis Roon has gone over. And we're in the final minute. And is that the one final decisive turn in this extraordinary contest?
Wow, I mean, what do you say? I mean, Sam was right. You thought Irish would kick short, they would recover the ball. Cardiff kick it back to them. They don't kick it out, and then a couple of phases later, I think Irish are playing with a man down, and the ability to move the ball, to create some space. Hassel-Collins is leading the Premiership with clean breaks as well. There's another one in there. Although I just have to wait a second because it looks like they're having a conversation.
Just hang on, Sam. Hang on.
Just checking the replay at the moment.
Yeah.
Hold your horses.
We'll slow down the kicker. Time is gone anyway, so.
Well, we're not entirely sure what Eric Gaurzin is looking for here.
All is clear. All is clear.
He's just looking for the all clear.
Not foul play.
Irish are being given the green light, and the clock's in the red.
He has to remain on the line.
And it's all over, Sam. It's been a bonkers game.
Yeah, it's fine.
I mean, it's been an amazing game to watch. You know, full of drama, but Cardiff Blues will be, excuse the pun, kicking themselves. That ball didn't go off the field in that instance.
My goodness. Man of the match, Sam.
Well, my mind was changing about 5 times, depending on who won. We've had some great guys from London Irish. You know, Hassel-Collins with line breaks, and we knew the back three was going to be exciting, but Loader's made so many meters, been so dangerous. You know, I got to excuse him with his yellow card. I thought that was, like Topper said, it was pretty harsh. I don't blame him for that for being dirty, but he's just been electric, so dangerous from minute one. Made the first line break of the game, and he maintained that all the way through, and he really did front up London Irish's counter-attack, and that's what caused them to. They were so deathly and dangerous in defence. I thought he was a big part of that.
I think Cardiff will definitely be kicking themselves to play that long with a man up and not be able to take advantage, but it is full credit to London Irish, because even with a man down, they attack the game in the same manner. I think their willingness to move the ball, to play to space, to get the ball into their danger runners' hands as much as possible, and to really take the game on. You know, I think that attitude from start to finish is what got the results. Every time they went down, they were able to compose themselves and to get back up and to score tit for tat, and in the end, to come back and win it at the death. I mean, that speaks lots to the character of the team, their courage and their ability to play in adversity. So full credit to them and the coaching team as well for what they've done with this group.
One of the Blues, Sam. That's a game they should have won.
Yeah, they definitely could have won that game. But I think you sit back in your team meeting when you dust yourself down on Monday, and you look